He's Keg. I'm Kush. What is up? We have the NFC East Futures show here. Of course, big day for us, Thursday, August 15th, as we have officially opened up the LLC. The company is here, Nuke the House, nukethehouse.com. My friend, Keg, it's been a long time coming. It's been a busy off season for us, but the fruits of our labor are here, and I'm very excited to be in business with you, my friend.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. We grinded a lot over the last few months to get this going, but It's finally here, and I'm excited.
Yeah, it's about time, though. Like, I was ready to get in this thing, and I got a couple things I'm going to throw up there for us. First of all, join Nuke the House Sports Betting. Nuke 25 off percent off your first payment of a monthly plan. And let's get into this thing. I'm going to keep it scrolling on the bottom. We've got 4 teams in the NFC East. Cowboys fans are obviously going to be thinking that their team is going to win the Super Bowl again. They will be sorely disappointed. I know some people are on the Eagles. Then there's the Giants and the Commanders as well. Before we get into the actual numbers and the bets, you go down to the 2 bad teams, the Giants and the Commanders. Like, either one of these teams have a shot at sneaking into the playoffs?
I don't think so. I have a hard time seeing it this year.
It's not good. Jaden Daniels, Jalen Daniels could be the guy that
he could be
gets the Commanders back, but I'm not so sure that happens.
He's going to need to be the guy from the door, though, if they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah. Iowa wants you to look at the MacBook on the desk, not even open.
Yeah.
You got your MacBook, buddy. I'm proud of you.
I have not had the time to even open the laptop, dude. That's where we're at.
Welcome to Apple world. Now we got to get rid of your Android phone.
No, never, ever.
You really do have an Android phone?
Oh, I thought you meant get rid of my iPhone. No, I have an iPhone.
Okay, at least you're semi in business here.
Yeah.
Let's get into our NFC East divisional futures. We're going to start with the Cowboys, then we'll move on down. We'll get to the Giants, we'll get to Washington and the Eagles, but the Dallas Cowboys to make the playoffs minus 210. If you want to get a little, you feeling all full of Fanta, you can bet them at plus 170 to miss the playoffs. Win totals 10.5, overs plus 150. We saw a lot of 9.5s out there now. DraftKings just moving up to 10.5 at plus 50, minus 80 to the under. To win the division, plus 160. To win the conference, 7-1. To win the Super Bowl, 19-1. So a couple things going on with this team, Keg. First of all, CeeDee Lamb holding out. Never like to see that. Not too worried about him, though. I think they got some issues in their running game with Rico Dowdle. Rico the Freako was not good last year. Zeke Elliott is as old as Methuselah. Offensive line could struggle a little bit. Now, defensively, 23rd in EPA last year. That's not great, right? Great pass rush, struggle against the run. They're bad up the middle. Mike McCarthy has playoff issues, so a lot going on with the Cowboys, Kegger. How are we doing here? What's our bets? How are you seeing this team performing this year?
First of all, as far as CeeDee Lamb goes, pay that man his money.
Please.
Come on, the joke's over. He's a stud. But the Dallas Cowboys letting Pollard go in the offseason and then bringing back Zeke is the most Jerry Jones thing I think that Jerry's ever done. It's so fitting. The big problem with this team, though, is how many players that they lost in the offseason. I mean, read the list of people that are gone. Like Pollard, I know that he's gone, although he was very disappointing last year when he finally became the guy. Tyron Smith gone, Stephon Gilmore gone, Leighton Vander Esch gone, Dante Fowler gone, Gallup gone, and it goes on and on. So, now they did get some pieces in the draft. They got Tyler Guyton, who I assume will slide into Tyron Smith's role at some point. They grabbed Royce Freeman, who's slated to be the third string running back right now. I mean, as of right now, Zeke is slated to be the starting running back, which is absolutely brutal. I think a big part of the problem with this team down the stretch last season was they were as elite as anybody between the 20s, but the red zone offense just didn't score consistently enough in 2023. And they settled for way too many field goals in key moments. That's not a good sign coming into this year, considering the Dallas Cowboys played the easiest defensive schedule in the league last year. Dan Quinn gone. Mike Zimmer takes over the D coordinator duties. It's almost never a seamless transition. So the defense can struggle even more than we think, considering the pieces that the defense lost. Offensively, the days of the Dallas Cowboys having the best offensive line in football are long gone. They are projected to be the 28th best offensive line in football this year as a unit. And when you consider the fact that they also have the worst running back room, number 32 in football, there will be a ton of pressure on the shoulders of Dak Prescott to carry this team. And I'm not sure that he's equipped to be able to do that. They're probably still the second best team, obviously, in the division. You know, the 10.5 win total feels right to me. I think that they probably finish on either side of that coin, probably 10 or 11 wins, if I had to guess. I struggle to see them winning 11 games this year, so I have a slight lean to the under 10.5 because I think that they're really going to struggle defensively. But no play here for me. Like if this team really clicked, 19-1 to win the Super Bowl is interesting, but with that offensive line and the pieces that they lost on defense, I just don't see it. So pass.
What if I told you I could get a 9.5 at -144? We don't like that number. We don't like that juice there, but it doesn't seem to me, and I don't want to speak for you, it doesn't seem to me like you have as much conviction even in that.
I don't. I don't think they're winning the NFC East this year. I'll say that. And to be honest, going into the offseason, I thought I was going to be on them to win the NFC East, but they just lost too many pieces. So I'm off the train.
Joey Work's not off the Giants train. We'll get to the Giants. I know. Our boy Joey Work. We can't afford him. We'd bring him on if we could. We just can't afford him. He's too expensive. He's too good a bettor. It seems like these days he's charging $1 million a year.
He's my guy.
Love
but that team is atrocious.
It's bad. Okay? It's bad. We'll get to it in just a second. Okay. As a matter of fact, I kind of want to. We are jumping to the Giants next. It's a nice segue. Like button would be wonderful. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Nuke the House, you're watching right now. Make sure you subscribe, not just, look at it and then sign up for notifications too. Put those on so you get all our videos. Keg and I have already done all the AFC futures teams, and now we're doing the NFC, and we're starting with the NFC East, and we talked about the Cowboys, and now we get to talk about Joey Works' New York Football Giants. To make the playoffs, +400. That's 4-1. To miss them, -550. Win total. Is their win total really 8.5? Did I type this wrong?
No. It's like, I think it's 6.5. Let me check.
We changed everything around with the order. So here we go. 6.5 at +10. All right. 6.5 at +10. Go under at +118. And then win the division 20-1, win the conference 70-1, win the Super Bowl 150-1. Third longest odds ahead of New England, Carolina, Denver. I can't believe Denver is favored to lose the most games. I still think that team can eke out 7 wins this year. Not sure about the Giants. Not with Danny Dimes, my friend, who's grown a beard. He's hoping that helps. You're growing a mustache. He's growing a beard. You got Devin Singletary. You got Tyrone Tracy, who's coming back from an ankle injury. Love Neighbors. Love Wandale. Told you about that. I think they've got some really skilled wide receivers. Slayton's got to get his stuff together. They did pick up a nice pass rusher in the offseason and Brian Burns, but their cornerbacks are awful, and that's not going to be good against the Cowboys or the Eagles or even Washington with Terry McLaurin and Dotson. But, this Giants team, dude, there's no way to code it. It's not a good football team.
Not a good football team. I'm not going to lie. As a Jets fan, it's really fun to shit on the New York Giants. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're not a very good football team. These teams that spend $40 million on a year on quarterbacks that they know for a fact is not a franchise quarterback is absolutely wild to me. Listen, Daniel Jones, he's not it, right? There's nothing I see from him that makes me think he turns into a true franchise quarterback one day. I just don't see it. 99% of the public doesn't see it. On top of that, he loses what was one of the best security blankets in football in Saquon Barkley, who is now on one of their division rivals, right? They did pick up Singletary, but he's an average running back at best. He's nothing special. And Dimes couldn't consistently move the chains with a scary weapon like Barkley behind him. So I don't see it getting better relying on Singletary to get you a few when you need them. The team has the single worst projected offensive line this year in football. They are projected to be the second worst running back room in the league, 26th best receiver room on a team that has Daniel Jones throwing these guys the football. That is a lot to overcome. The good news is they will eventually have a number one wideout in Malik Neighbors, but it's not a guarantee this year. The defensive front seven is really the linchpin for the team. It's the only unit that they have that aren't in the basement of the league. The bad news is they have the worst secondary in football, literally projected to be number 32.
Worse than the Titans. Is that what you're telling me?
Huh? Worse than the Titans.
Colts. Worse than the Colts.
Yeah, I think they had the second worst. The Giants are projected to be the worst. So it's going to be tough sledding this year. They will not make the playoffs. They will not win the division. The win total set at 6.5. It seems about right to me. They're going to probably win 6 or 7 games this year. So the Giants are a total pass for me. The one thing that I will say, if I had any confidence in Danny Dimes, Malik Neighbors at 4-1 to have the most yards as for a rookie receiving is not terrible. Now, don't get me wrong, Harrison Jr. is a stud. We know that, right? But he's in Arizona, and I'm not a big fan of that offense. And, you know, Keon Coleman's interesting at 8-1 also in Buffalo. But I think Malik Neighbors looks like the real deal. And that's kind of interesting to me. But the problem is the guy that's throwing him the football, who you can't count on. So I'll probably end up passing on it, but it's an intriguing look. Other than that, though, I'm gonna lean that the Giants go 7-10 and just sneak over that win total. But I don't think there's enough value to get on it.
They'll get a couple wins in the division. They'll pull an upset against Dallas or Philadelphia. They'll beat Washington. But Joey Work, come on, buddy. I mean, the disrespect's unreal. It's not disrespect if you're telling the truth.
Come on, these are facts. What do you mean?
Facts. Bad team. Bad football team. I think Joey had him winning the Super Bowl the last 7 years anyway, so that hasn't worked out too well. Joey, we love you. Like button again. Hey, Keg, we're going to get to 2 more teams, obviously, with Washington and the Philadelphia Eagles, who you have a nice bet on them. Before we do that, though, this is our first day, and I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but we got to get our website up there, don't we? Come on. We just launched today. How beautiful is this thing? This is sexy. This is a lot sexier than Danny Dimes in the pocket. I'll tell you that much.
Website fucks. The website fucks.
It does. It's remarkable. We got our daily picks. We got football articles up left and right. We got NFC East, NFC South, and then all the AFC teams are up right now. We got game plans where they're dropping. I mean, if you don't know what the game plan is, I'll have Keg tell you in just a second. MLB articles, all our videos are up. We're going to teach you how to bet. If you don't know how to bet and you're just watching this going, here, I wonder what these two jabronis are talking about. Nuke you. We're going to teach you how to bet. We're going to teach you how to live bet everything. So real quick, Keg, without showing the game plan, what is the game plan? Because it's one of the big features here at Nuke the House.
Yeah, the game plan is basically a comprehensive betting guide for every NFL game, NASCAR Cup Series race, UFC event, and PGA tournament. Similar to in the vein of like a DFS playbook, we'll try to get you guys set up for what we're on pre-game, what we think that we'll be targeting in-game should numbers move. And at the bottom of each game plan, there'll be plays for that game or that fight or that race. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to help people if they don't have time to watch every minute of every live show.
Unfortunately for the Washington Commanders, not going to be able to help them, Keg. To make the playoffs, plus 260. To miss them, minus 340. Win total, I got a 6.5 here. Over minus 30, under plus 10. Over 8.5 is plus 225. You think they're going to be better than we do. You know what? I haven't got your thoughts on the Commanders yet, so I'm going to find out right now. I have a feeling you're on my side to win the division 9-1, conference 60-1, Super Bowl 120-1. It's been 14 years since they won a playoff game. I like what we're seeing out of Daniels here. I like the wide receiver room with McLaurin and Dotson. I think these are two nice pieces. I think that Cliff Kingsbury, even though he's a horrible head coach, a nice offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn's their new head coach. And then defensively, this team could not stop the run. They really couldn't stop anybody. You say the Giants defense or the secondary could be bad. Like, I don't know if Washington did enough to even get into the top 20 overall defenses this year. Thoughts on Washington, and if you got a lean or a bet?
Well, the good news is Dan Snyder is a memory, which can only help this poor team that he held hostage for God knows how many years.
Okay.
So the future is instantly
Did
brighter.
I ever tell you he helped get me in a lot of trouble?
No, I didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah, don't say mean things about Dan Snyder, or I'll call your boss and tell him that they should fire you.
So the future is instantly brighter now that
for me too.
Yeah, for you too. Now that tool shed of a human is no longer there. So gone are the days of Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett. In comes in Marcus Mariota, rookie Jaden Daniels, who will probably obviously be the starter for the team if I had to guess out of LSU. The team threw the ball 70% of the time last year under Bieniemy, which was way more than any other offensive coordinator in the league last year. But with Kingsbury and the new regime, I'd expect that to regress slightly. They still have some weapons. Brian Robinson is a beast in that backfield. McLaurin is a bona fide number one. After that, obviously Dotson's not bad. Austin Eckler will help out in the backfield, especially during the passing game. As a matter of fact, I would be stunned if Eckler is not the back on the field in most passing downs, which I think early on in the year could give us a little bit of an edge getting on his receiving yards, because I think he's going to play the majority of the passing downs. But I digress.
And receptions. And not only that, I watched a couple interviews with Eckler this offseason and even last month where he said, listen, they didn't use me right with the Chargers. They just didn't use me right. I have a different skill set. So I think he's going to be their wide receiver 3. He might even have the second most receptions on that team if they're checking down a lot to him. And I wouldn't blame him.
And then I think they just let Robinson do what he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then obviously they have Dotson. They bring in rookie Luke McCaffrey out of Rice to pick up a lot of the slack, probably in the slot, if I had to guess. The defense was an absolute nightmare in 2023. They were ranked 30th or worse in every major metric, including yards per play allowed, EPA per snap allowed, and total EPA allowed. They were a train wreck, and it's not getting better this year because the front 7 is projected to be ranked outside the top 20, and the secondary is projected to be ranked like 30th. So a great rookie quarterback can help a lot, but there's no guarantee that Daniels will be the guy out of the gate. I think it's an uphill climb for the Washington Commanders this year. I would still rank them ahead of the New York Giants in the division, even with the unknowns at quarterback. Can't back them to win the division or make the playoffs. The win total sitting at 6.5. And I think that if it all breaks right for this team, they're probably an 8-9 team. So I lean that they sneak over 6.5. Just over. But am I gonna tell anybody to bet it? Not really. Probably a pass.
One of our cappers that wrote the NFC East futures betting guide took him at 11-1, back at 11-1 to win the division. So
really,
yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with Daniels. They're thinking that Quinn could coach up the defense, and he's not even the coordinator. He handed duties off this year, and then Cliff Kingsbury working with a nice mobile quarterback. So Washington, it's going to be a rough go for them, I think, once again. Hopefully that organization can get on track, because they used to be awesome, Keg. Back before you were born, I think, but they used to be awesome. You were alive in the 90s and the 80s and 90s?
I was born in 1980.
Okay, so you saw their Super Bowls. You saw all their Super Bowls.
Yep.
Okay. Good job out of you. Good conversation. Like button. Let's go. Sign up for the site. Nuke 25% off your first payment of a monthly plan. That's going to work for you. I'm going to throw it down there on the scroll. Kegger, one of the most profitable bettors out there. He won't say it, but I'll say it. He's the best live bettor in the world that I know. And I said that I know that I said
That's
that I know
fair.
to make
That's
you feel
fair.
better,
I
but he is
heard
the
that
best
at
in the
the
world.
end.
And then
I heard that at the end.
we don't just do live betting. We do pre-flop, we do futures, parlays, same game parlays. But I cannot wait. 25 plus hours of live in-game betting programming. And you don't even got to sign up to watch the shows. All you got to do is sign up for our notifications. Keg places a bet. You get a notification on your phone. It says what book, what price, you bet it. If you do it right, you're going to win money. One last team to go in the NFC EAST. The Eagles to make the playoffs, minus 250. Miss the playoffs, 2-1. Win total, 10.5. Over, minus 30. Under, plus 10. To win the division, minus 120. They are favored. Win the conference, plus 600. Shortest odds in the NFC behind San Francisco, Detroit. And to win the Super Bowl, 15-1. Offensively, so Hurts has got to bounce back. Remember, they started off 10-1 last year, tailed off, and there's been a couple of really good articles, and one on ESPN where it said Sirianni and Hurts were just butting heads last year. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. I mean, if Sirianni's smart, he did a lot of dumb things last season, and I think getting into it with your quarterback is probably not the best thing either. Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator. We're both fans of Vic Fangio. Would you say you're a fan of Vic Fangio?
I think he's a good coordinator.
Me too. Devin White, they signed him to help out the linebacking core. They needed some help there. Their defense was the first 2 picks in the draft. They got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to boost the secondary. So they tried filling some of those weaknesses in different ways. What do we think about the Eagles? Are they the best team in the NFC East?
So a couple things to piggyback off what you just said. Number one, there's no more cringier head coach in football than Nick Sirianni. That's a fact. I hate him. Number two, you mentioned they opened up 10-1. Over the course of the last 2 years, the Eagles have combined open through 12 weeks of 20-2. So under this regime and starting quarterback, they're locked in relatively early and rolling from right from the gate. So the problem is what happened to them late last year. They went from looking like major competition for the Niners to win the NFC to becoming the single worst team on the field, probably in the league down the stretch the last month of the year. What's hard to square, though, is like despite this team opening last year 10-1, they were trailing at the half in 6 of the 12 first games last year, which I thought was pretty interesting. The Eagles' schedule didn't seem that hard last season. They played the 8th easiest schedule based on total efficiency last year. So they weren't exactly tested as much and often as other clubs in retrospect. They struggled anytime they were at a rest disadvantage last year. It happened 6 times last season. In those 6 games, they were 0-5-1 against the spread. That's something to keep an eye on this year in terms of where they are in their week and who they're playing. But they held up well against the spread the rest of the way, obviously. In terms of personnel, the Eagles have some very strong rooms in that building when it comes to the offense. They are projected to have the 4th best offensive line room in the league, 5th best running back room, and with the addition of Barkley, and the 2nd best wideout room in the league. So the defense holds its own with the front 7 and the secondary. They're both projected to be in the top half of the league. But as Jalen Hurts goes, this team is going to go. They lost pieces like Jason Kelce, who was one of the best centers in the league due to retirement. But the year comes down to 3 things for me. Number one, can Saquon Barkley stay healthy? Number 2, can the secondary bounce back? They are the worst unit in the building, and the unit fell dramatically last year in EPA per dropback. They ranked 27th in the league, so they need to rebound there. Number 3, like I just said, as Jalen Hurts goes, this team goes. Last season, he was average, 10th in EPA per attempt, 15th in EPA per attempt in the pocket, 39th on first down, 23rd with less than 2.5 seconds to throw, 17th under pressure, 27th when being blitzed. So one of the bright spots that he does have going for him, though, is that he was the best quarterback in the league last year on 3rd and 4th down. That needs to continue. If it does, then I think that they're going to have a great year. So I'm on the Philadelphia Eagles at around a coin flip to win the NFC East. Give me the over. What is it? 9.5 or 10.5 wins?
10.5.
Yeah, I think that they're an 11-6 club at probably worst case, maybe 12-5. So I think they get over that. If you don't want to double dip and you don't want that much exposure, I would probably just take them to win the East. That's all I've bet so far. I might get on the win total though.
Best bet for the show, Eagles to win the East, -120.
Yep.
Beautiful. Love it. Here we go. Like button on the way out. Subscribe to our channel, YouTube channel, Nuke the House. Make sure you sign up for notifications as well. If you haven't already, get in while the price is here right now. 25% off your first payment of a monthly plan. Today is the first day we're officially open. We got some subscribers funneling in, and we're very excited about that. And also, don't forget, we got the Eagles and Patriots tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Keg and I will hang out for the first half of the game. Maybe we'll make a bet, but we'll definitely talk about the NFL, some betting. And next week, we'll come back and get some other divisions in the NFC in as well, because I cannot wait to get your thoughts on the NFC North in all seriousness. Not kidding. I think that's a fascinating division. But the NFC East, so you're a little down on the Cowboys. You're way up on the Eagles. You're down on the Giants, and the Washington's just blah, right?
Yeah, Washington, I think that they're the one team that has a chance to maybe sneak in the playoffs if Daniels is the real deal from the door. But the Giants are going to be a shit show this year.
By the way, is that the last time, Boynton, that the Redskins were in the playoffs? Was when I was doing. Oh my God,
Probably.
I'm getting old, man.
No.
I remember covering that. What?
No, don't you remember they played the Eagles a few years back in the playoffs?
Yeah, they didn't beat Seattle with RG3. That was it. And we're all screaming at the TV going, get him out, Shanahan. And then RG3 he got hurt, and then he got fired by ESPN today. So I don't know what happened. He had to play for Washington, and then he got ESPN's front office, which is just about as interesting. Throw up the graphic, Kegger. Let's get out of here. NFC East, the future is the Eagles -120. Let's nuke the house.